AITA for kicking out my wife after she cheated, got pregnant, and thought I'd forgive her? I'm James, 34, a software engineer at a fintech company down in Austin. It's not exactly secret agent stuff, but I work on secure payment systems, pulling in about $130,000 base, plus another $30,000 to $50,000 in bonuses if my team hits our marks. I bought my house, a 2,200 square foot place in a solid neighborhood in Cedar Park with great schools, before the Austin market went completely insane. It's nothing flashy, but it's paid off, which is key. And I drive a reliable, paid-off Honda Accord. I've always been smart with money. Max out my 401k, invest in index funds, and keep a hefty emergency fund. My dad was a union guy at the GM plant for 35 years, and he hammered into me that financial security beats looking rich with stuff you can't afford. Watching him grind, taking overtime shifts but still clipping coupons, really shaped how I see money. I met Tiffany 5 years ago at my buddy Mark's backyard barbecue. She said she was a marketing executive for a beauty brand, at least according to her polished Instagram and LinkedIn. Turns out, she was basically an admin assistant at a small local PR firm, making maybe $50,000 a year. But damn, she was a knockout. Blonde, curves that could stop traffic, always dressed like she was heading to a gala. She drove a leased BMW 4 Series, which I later found out was bleeding her dry. The payments and insurance were probably half her take-home pay. That first afternoon, we hit it off immediately. The vibe was electric, and I felt like I'd hit the jackpot. Smart, or so I thought. Gorgeous, ambitious, and she seemed genuinely into me. We swapped numbers and had our first date that week. Looking back, the red flags were waving like they were at a NASCAR race. Every time we went out for a nice dinner, she'd accidentally leave her wallet in the car or at home. She was always showing me Instagram posts of her friend Megan's husband's new Porsche or their vacation photos from Lake Como, sighing, "Wouldn't it be amazing to live like that someday?" She'd make little digs about my house, saying it was so far from South Congress, and that we'd need to move to a new build in Westlake for the better schools when we had kids. She was constantly comparing our life to her friends' husbands, who supposedly had bigger houses or made more. Every gift I got her was mentally benchmarked against what her friends' boyfriends gave them. "Oh, Ashley's boyfriend got her a David Yurman bracelet for their anniversary," she'd say, right after I'd given her something I thought was pretty thoughtful. But she was stunning, the bedroom was incredible, and I was head over heels. Classic case of thinking with the little head. When you're wearing rose-colored glasses, all the red flags just look like flags, right? We dated for about a year and a half before we tied the knot. I pushed for a smaller wedding so we could save up for a rental property. She agreed, but not enthusiastically, only after I crunched the numbers and showed her the potential for building long-term wealth. That should have been a major warning. She wasn't interested in building anything together. She was just playing along. After the wedding, it was like watching a butterfly revert to a caterpillar. First, she quit her admin job to focus on her brand as a lifestyle influencer. Her content was embarrassingly basic. Mirror selfies in expensive athleisure wear, artfully arranged smoothie bowls, and cringy captions like "living my authentic truth" and "manifesting my dreams." After 8 months of grinding, her term, and burning through a serious amount of my money on clothes, tech, and props, she had a whopping 2,700 followers. Meanwhile, I was pulling 60-hour weeks to keep us afloat. She could drop $700 on a designer handbag without a second thought, but would throw a fit if I spent $60 on a new video game I'd been looking forward to. When I finally got the nerve to suggest we make a budget, you'd think I'd asked her to give up avocado toast. "Chad doesn't make Megan budget," she'd scoff. "A real man provides without nickel-and-diming his wife." My personal favorite. I shouldn't have to ask for permission to spend money in my own home. Conveniently forgetting the home was entirely mine, bought and paid for before she came along. The money fights got uglier. She wanted a complete kitchen gut job, $50,000 estimate, seriously, because I'm embarrassed to have my friends over. She wanted me to trade in my perfectly good, paid-off Accord for a Tesla Model X. Because what if your clients see you driving that? Never mind that I worked from home 90% of the time and only went into the office for quarterly all-hands meetings. Every attempt to talk about finances turned into her accusing me of being controlling, financially abusive, or threatened by her potential. What potential? Her Instagram that wasn't making a dime? The networking brunches she attended that never led to anything? The brand collaborations that always fell through? I started noticing other things too. She'd be gone for hours, networking, but would be vague about who she met or what they discussed. She'd get texts at weird hours that made her smile in a way she hadn't smiled at me in ages. If I asked, it was always just my friend Kim, work stuff, as she angled her phone away. Our 4th anniversary was approaching when everything went sideways. She started talking about a creator summit in Las Vegas that she absolutely had to attend for her influencer career. All the big names are going to be there, she gushed, eyes wide with a weird kind of excitement. This is my chance to really break out and land some major sponsorships. I tried to be supportive, even though my BS detector was screaming. Go for it, I said, even zelling her $3,000 for expenses. Let me know how it goes. That was the start of 28 days of absolute radio silence. I texted her the morning after she left. Hey babe, made it to Vegas okay? Hope the flight was good. Let me know how day 1 goes. I saw the receipt pop up almost instantly. No reply. Tried again that night. How's the summit? Meet anyone cool? Learn anything useful? Read. Nothing. This went on for days. My texts went from casual check-ins to concerned, then confused, then downright angry. Hey, just checking in. Haven't heard from you. Why aren't you answering? I'm starting to get really worried. Tiffany, what the hell is going on? Just tell me if you're okay. At least tell me you're alive. This is getting ridiculous. Meanwhile, her Instagram was a highlight reel. Photos at trendy Vegas restaurants I'd never heard of, selfies by the Bellagio fountains, group shots with other wannabe influencers, posts about making connections and building my empire. She had time to craft the perfect captions and reply to comments from her 2,700 followers, but couldn't spare 5 seconds for her husband. After a week, I tried calling her cell, straight to voicemail. I checked our joint credit card app. The charges were piling up: fancy dinners, designer boutiques on the Strip, spa treatments at a place called Serenity Springs Resort, which was definitely not the convention hotel she'd mentioned. Clearly, she was alive and well, just pretending I didn't exist. By day 10, let's just say I was past confused and well into royally pissed off territory. I finally managed to get a hold of her friend Kim, who was supposedly at the same summit. Oh, I thought she told you she extended her trip to visit her cousin in Scottsdale, Kim said, sounding genuinely surprised. Cousin in Scottsdale? Tiffany's only cousin lived in Orlando, and they barely spoke. So you're not at the summit with her? I asked, already knowing the answer. What summit? I'm in Miami this month for a work conference. Lie number 1 confirmed. My stomach twisted. That night, I did a deep dive into our bank statements. There were charges at restaurants nowhere near the Vegas Strip or the convention center. There was also that hotel, Serenity Springs Private Resort and Spa, which turned out to be a 40-minute drive from Vegas, out near Henderson, and a $150 charge for a couple's champagne massage package. I Googled the resort, a high-end, adults-only retreat, famous for its romantic vibe and private bungalows. Definitely not a place for marketing seminars. And then the real kicker. A guy named Mark, who Tiffany had mentioned was a keynote speaker at this supposed summit, emailed our shared account wondering why Tiffany had bailed on her panel discussion at the last minute, claiming a family emergency. What the hell? My wife wasn't at any summit. There probably wasn't even a real summit she was supposed to be at. She was shacked up at a couple's resort, blowing through our money, while ghosting me. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a calculated, elaborate lie. I didn't sleep. My mind raced. At 3 a.m., I was at my desk, coffee in hand, laptop open. No more pathetic texts into the void. It was time to build a case. I started documenting everything. The timeline of ignored texts, screenshots of her Instagram posts with locations and timestamps, the conflicting stories from Kim and Mark, all the credit card charges at the resort. I approached it like a security audit at work, methodical, detached. I created a password-protected folder and backed everything up to an encrypted drive. But I needed concrete proof. I found a private investigator with solid online reviews and hired him the next day for $1,500 up front, which pretty much cleaned out my personal savings. A steep price, but I needed a pro. 3 days later, the PI called. I have some initial findings for you, he said, his voice flat, professional. Are you somewhere you can talk freely? I locked myself in my home office. Go ahead. Your wife is staying at the Serenity Springs Resort, near Henderson, as you suspected. She's not alone. Even expecting it, hearing it confirmed felt like a punch to the gut. I gripped the desk. I need everything. She checked in 12 days ago with a male, late 40s, around 6 foot, athletic build. They arrived in a black Range Rover, Nevada plates. They're in this Starlight Casita, which goes for about $1,200 a night. I've documented their activities. They appear to be intimately involved. I felt a weird calm. Send it all. Photos, videos, logs, everything. Within an hour, the first batch landed in my inbox. Photos of Tiffany with a tall, silver-haired guy I'd never seen, holding hands strolling through the resort's desert gardens, his arm around her waist at a candlelit dinner, kissing by a private plunge pool. It was like watching a movie of someone else's life imploding. While waiting for more from the PI, I went full forensic accountant on our finances. We supposedly had total financial transparency. What a joke. I tracked transactions from the past year and found a sick pattern. Expensive lunches in parts of Austin she claimed to be networking in, weekday hotel charges in our own city, jewelry purchases that weren't for me, couple spa days I'd never been on. The PI's reports kept coming, each more damning. They showed Tiffany and this mystery man shopping at high-end stores, him buying her jewelry, even looking at luxury condos with real estate agents. In one series of photos, Tiffany is texting on her phone while literally sitting on the guy's lap in their private cabana, probably posting to Instagram while ignoring my calls. I called her younger sister, Chloe, trying to sound casual. Hey Chloe, quick question. Tiff mentioned something about swinging by your parents' place after her Vegas trip. Do you know when they're expecting her? Her confused reply confirmed another lie. Mom and Dad are on an Alaskan cruise for their anniversary. They're not back for another 2 weeks. Tiff knows that. Then I started checking our tech. Her email password was still her childhood dog's name plus her birth year, amateur hour. I found hotel confirmations, dinner reservations under Mr. and Mrs. Reynolds. Who the hell was Reynolds? There were flight itineraries that had nothing to do with any summit. A charge from a high-end lingerie store popped up on the credit card the day before she left. $800 for stuff I'd never seen. Obviously not for me. And then, the jackpot. Her iCloud was still backing up to our shared desktop. There they were, text messages with this guy, David Reynolds, apparently a big-shot real estate developer in Vegas. Messages about their future together, how he was going to give her the life she truly deserved, unlike her boring husband who didn't appreciate her ambition. The worst were the messages where she called me her starter husband and joked about how I'd been useful for getting her credit score up and providing stability, but that was about it. She mocked my income, saying it was barely comfortable, while Dave makes real money. She talked about my average package, yeah, that stung, and our cookie-cutter house, and how Dave was looking at a place for them in the Ridges with an infinity pool. I found David Reynolds on LinkedIn. President of a major Vegas development firm, 48 years old, MBA from a top school, estimated net worth in the tens of millions, and married with 3 teenage kids, according to his very public Facebook profile. I found his wife, Karen Reynolds, attractive, active in local charities, seemed very devoted to her kids' private school. She clearly had no idea her husband was playing sugar daddy to my wife at a luxury resort. His life was about to get smashed. That same afternoon, I met with a divorce lawyer. Bill was a no-nonsense, old-school attorney. After reviewing my evidence, he leaned back, a small smile playing on his lips. With this, the infidelity clause in your prenup is rock solid. She gets next to nothing. I nodded, stone-faced. I don't want a long, messy fight. I want this over, clean, and on my terms. And one more thing, I laid out my plan. Bill raised an eyebrow, but nodded. Unconventional, but legal. Just make sure you have reliable witnesses and stick to the facts. No harassment. That night, after 28 days of silence, Tiffany finally texted, landing tomorrow at AUS, 2 p.m. Can you pick me up? Miss you like crazy, babe. XOXO. Like nothing happened. Like she hadn't just spent a month with another man. I replied simply, sure thing. Can't wait to see you. Let her think I was still the same clueless schmuck. An icy calm settled over me as I drove to the airport. The hurt was there, but it was buried under a cold, hard resolve. I spotted her easily, Designer shades, perfect blowout, dragging a brand new Toomey suitcase. Fresh tan, new jewelry, and that smug look of someone who thinks they're the smartest person in the room. "There's my handsome man," she chirped, leaning in for a kiss. I offered a brief, stiff hug and took the suitcase. "Let's roll. Traffic on Mopac is going to be a beast." In the car, she spun an elaborate yarn about her summit. Keynote speeches, networking mixers, potential brand deals. I nodded, asked a few questions to see how deep the BS went. "The view from the conference center was incredible," she said, scrolling through her phone. "You could see the whole strip." "Sounds amazing," I replied, knowing she'd been looking at desert mountains from her private casita. "Did you go to that famous steakhouse you mentioned? The one by that celebrity chef?" "Oh my God, yes. Incredible. You would have loved it." Another lie. The restaurant she named hadn't even opened yet, according to my research. I carried her luggage inside. She kicked off her heels and flopped onto the couch. "I got you something," she said, pulling out a fancy watch box. "It's an Omega. The sales guy said all successful execs wear them. A gilt gift, bought with our joint money. Probably cost $5,000 to $6,000. "Thanks," I said, setting it aside unopened. "Aren't you going to look at it?" she asked, annoyed. "Most guys would be a little more excited." Later. "You must be wiped from the trip." She studied me. "You're acting weird." "What's up?" "Just tired. Been pulling 70-hour weeks. Big project at work needed extra attention." She seemed to buy it. "Well, I'm going to take a long bath and unpack. Maybe we can DoorDash something tonight? I'm too beat to cook." "Whatever you want." That night, she tried to get frisky, almost aggressively. I turned her down, claiming exhaustion. The offended look on her face was almost funny. "What's your problem? I'm gone for a month, and you don't want me? Are you getting it somewhere else or what?" The irony was thick enough to spread on toast. "Just tired from working 14-hour days to pay for your shopping sprees." She rolled her eyes. "God, James, always with the money. Not everyone wants to live like a pauper. Some of us have ambitions." I turned over and feigned sleep. The plan was clicking into place. The next morning, Tiffany suggested a dinner party for that weekend. "We haven't had anyone over in ages," she said, glued to her phone. "We could invite Mark and Sarah, my sister Chloe, and her husband Matt. Maybe your coworker Ben and his new girlfriend. I want to show off my tan and these amazing serving platters I got in Vegas." "Great idea," I said, the perfect opportunity landing in my lap. "Let's do Saturday. I'll help with the food." For the next few days, I played the part. We went to Central Market together. She insisted on prime rib and $60 bottles of Cabernet, cleaned the house, and acted like a normal couple. All while the evidence was locked in my office safe. She kept texting secretly, always angling her phone away. The PI had already confirmed David Reynolds checked out the same day as Tiffany, and they were still in constant contact. Saturday came. Her phone buzzed nonstop. Each time, she'd glance at it, sometimes tapping out a quick reply. Twice she took calls in our bedroom, door closed, claiming it was just Kim, asking about beauty products. She spent $300 on flowers from a fancy florist. When I raised an eyebrow, she snapped. "Presentation is everything, James. You never know who might hear about our parties." By 6 p.m., everything was set. The house looked great, food prepped, wine chilled. Tiffany emerged in a new dress I'd never seen. "Like it?" she purred. "It's new. Got it on sale in Vegas." The receipt for the $1,200 dress was still in her purse. I'd seen it. Guests started arriving around 7. Mark and Sarah, Chloe and Matt, Ben and his girlfriend, my other friend Alex and his wife, and a surprise guest, Karen Reynolds, David's wife. She thought she was there as Sarah's friend from their Pilates studio. She had no idea who Tiffany was. Yet, conversation flowed during appetizers. Tiffany was the perfect hostess, refilling drinks, recounting her fictional business triumphs, dropping hints about how we needed to upgrade our lifestyle. "James is so practical with money," she told Sarah with a laugh. "I keep telling him we need a bigger place in Terrytown, but he's content with this starter home." Our 2,200 square feet, paid-off house was now an embarrassment. Her phone buzzed again during the salad course. She excused herself, claiming it was a potential brand partner. I nodded to Mark, who discreetly followed her, phone recording as planned. During the main course, the talk turned to relationships. Chloe mentioned a friend in couples counseling. It's so sad when people can't communicate, Tiffany said, shaking her head dramatically. Honesty is the foundation of any marriage, don't you think, James? I nearly choked on my prime rib. Speaking of honesty, I said, carefully putting down my fork. There's something I've been meaning to share. She looked at me, confused. This wasn't in her script. I've learned a lot about honesty lately. I continued, my voice even. Especially how actions speak louder than words, or how, sometimes, silence is deafening. The table went quiet. Honey, she said, a warning tone in her voice. Maybe now's not the time. It's the perfect time. I cut in, standing up. These are our closest friends and family. Who better to share important news with? Her face went pale as I walked to my office and returned with a large manila envelope. I've prepared a little presentation, I said to our guests. A story about trust, betrayal, and consequences. Her hand knocked over a wine glass as she lunged for my arm. Stop this right now, she hissed. I looked her in the eye. For 28 days, I tried to reach you. You read every single message and chose to ignore me. Now, you get to do some reading. With deliberate calm, I pulled the divorce papers from the envelope and placed them in front of her. I think it's time everyone heard about your real Vegas trip, I said. Not the made-up summit, but your romantic getaway at Serenity Springs with a man named David Reynolds. Silence. Then I turned to Karen Reynolds, at the other end of the table. Karen, I believe you know David Reynolds. He's your husband of 18 years, the father of your 3 children, correct? Karen's face went from puzzled to horrified. What are you talking about? Tiffany's face was a mask of panic. James, you're insane. I don't know what you're. I cut her off, connecting my laptop to the big screen TV. The first photo flashed up, Tiffany checking into the resort with David. Then another, them at a candlelit dinner. More, hand in the gardens, entering their casita, kissing by the private pool. Gasps went around the room. Karen started to cry softly. This is Photoshop, Tiffany shrieked, looking for support. Nope. Mark chimed in, holding up his phone. And neither is this video I just took of you in the hallway, telling someone named Davy Pooh that you can't wait to see him tomorrow after this boring dinner party, and that James is still totally clueless. Chloe, her sister, covered her mouth. Tiff, how could you? I pulled out another document. Credit card statements showing their joint purchases, hotel reservations with both their names, screenshots of texts where she called me her starter husband and mocked my average package and middle-class paycheck. Tiffany jumped up, knocking her chair over. You spied on me. You invaded my privacy. You're a controlling monster. Enough, I said firmly. The gaslighting ends now. You are not the victim here. I addressed the guests. I apologize for the drama. I didn't want to involve any of you, but I needed witnesses. She's been spinning fantasies for months, and I won't let her paint me as the bad guy. Her brother-in-law, Matt, who'd been quiet, spoke up. That resort, Serenity Springs? That's where Chloe and I stayed for our anniversary last year. You recommended it. Tiff said the lighting was amazing for Instagram. Another piece clicked. She'd sent her own sister to the place where she was having an affair. I filed for divorce yesterday, I continued. The papers are ready. The infidelity nullifies any financial claims per our prenup. The house is mine, owned before marriage. The car is mine. The bank accounts are already separated. Tiffany cycled through her tactics. Rage, you're a psycho. Then tears, I made a mistake. We need therapy. Then she even tried to slide her hand onto my thigh under the table. I pushed it away. Our marriage ended when you decided to be David's plaything. It's been over for months. You just didn't tell me. I turned to Karen, still in shock. I'm so sorry you had to find out this way. I only learned recently myself, but you deserve the truth. Karen nodded, tears streaming. Thank you, this explains so much. His life was about to be over. I looked at our friends. I know this is awkward. Anyone who wants to leave, please feel free. No one moved. Even Chloe stayed, her face hard with disappointment. As people started to leave, Tiffany tried one last, desperate move. Where am I supposed to go? She wailed, mascara streaking. I have no money. You can't just throw me out. Not my problem, I said. Maybe David can help. Oh, wait. He's probably got his own divorce to deal with now. Tough break. I'd already arranged for Chloe to take her for the night. I made it clear, 48 hours to get her personal stuff. Anything left would go to Goodwill. The divorce was swift. The prenup and evidence held. Tiffany tried to claim emotional distress and coercion, but her own texts blew that apart. She got her clothes and her leased BMW. The financial reality crushed her. Without my income, the BMW payments were impossible. Her influencer dream died when Karen Reynolds, a well-connected woman in Vegas through her charity work, subtly spread the word. Turns out, David had been funding Tiffany's lifestyle with company money, which got him fired after an internal audit. The scandal torched both their reputations in Vegas. His life, as I predicted, was smashed. 6 months after the divorce, her BMW was repoed. She got evicted. She started hitting up mutual friends, trying to get to me. I maintained zero contact, lawyers only. Hardest, best thing I ever did. 8 months post-divorce, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. It's Tiffany. Please meet me. 15 minutes. I'm begging. Against my better judgment, out of morbid curiosity, I agreed to coffee, public place. She was 25 minutes late, a shadow of her former self. Cheap clothes, chipped nails, dark circles, thinner but not in a healthy way. More like the can't afford HEB kind of thin. Thanks for coming, she mumbled. What do you want, Tiffany? I made a horrible mistake, she blurted. Dave dumped me the second Karen filed. He's under investigation for embezzlement for all the money he spent on me. No one in Vegas will touch me. My credit's shot. My parents won't even talk to me. Her eyes welled up. And I'm pregnant, James. It's his. The audacity. And how is any of this, including your pregnancy with another man's child, my concern? I asked, sipping my coffee. I miss us, she whispered. I miss our life, the security. I was stupid and greedy. I didn't appreciate you. I laughed. What we had was a one-sided sham. People make mistakes, she pleaded. We had good years. No, I had years of being your ATM while you auditioned replacements. Please, she begged, reaching for my hand. I'm getting kicked out of my friend's spare room next week. I have nowhere to go. I'm working at a call center for minimum wage. I still love you. That's unfortunate for you, I said, pulling my hand back. But like you used to say, not everyone wants to live like a pauper. Some of us have ambitions. I stood up. Wait, she cried, drawing stairs. Let me stay in your guest room, just till the baby comes, or until I get on my feet. I'll do anything. Sign anything. I'll be your housekeeper. I looked at her, this woman who'd called me boring, cheated, lied, mocked me. You left me on read for 28 days while you lived it up with your developer. Now I'm leaving you on unread for life. Good luck with your situation. As I walked out, my phone buzzed. It was Karen, David's now ex-wife, whom I'd started seeing about 3 months ago. Still on for dinner with the kids tonight? I smiled. Absolutely. Just taking out the trash. Walking to my car, I saw Tiffany on a bench, sobbing. A flicker of pity, then I remembered the photos, the texts, the pregnancy bombshell. Evaporated. 2 weeks later, Mark sent me a screenshot. Tiffany's GoFundMe. Help a single mom escape financial abuse. Asking for $10,000. Raised $25, probably from her sister. Meanwhile, I got a promotion to lead my division, now making closer to $200,000 with bonuses. Karen and I are getting serious. What started as commiseration blossomed into the healthiest relationship I've ever known. She's a NICU nurse, compassionate and financially responsible. Her kids are great. The 17-year-old son is into cybersecurity, so I'm mentoring him. The 15-year-old daughter was struggling with pre-calc. We got her grades up. The 13-year-old is a great kid, loves building stuff with me in the garage. And Tiffany? Well, Alex ran into her a month ago. She'd gained a lot of weight, looked rough, and was working checkout at Walmart, heavily pregnant. Tried to tell Alex I was abusive. He just laughed and showed her the photo from the dinner party, her and David by the pool. Justice isn't always fast, but it's usually pretty thorough. Do I regret the dinner party reveal? Not for a second. Privately, she'd have gaslighted me, played the victim. I needed witnesses. Biggest lesson, trust your gut. The flags were there. When someone's more interested in your wallet than your heart, run. Stay sharp, guys. Don't be a stepping stone. Update 10 months later. Wild, didn't expect this to get so much attention. Thanks for the support. Quick update. Sold the Cedar Park house, too many bad vibes, and bought a place with 5 acres out near Dripping Springs. Got a workshop where I'm finally doing some woodworking, something Tiffany always said was too blue collar. Karen and I are solid. She's amazing. Her Her kids are awesome. The oldest is even looking at UT for computer science now. As for Tiffany, Alex saw her again, still at Walmart. The baby's a few months old. She tried the abusive ex story on him again. He just shook his head. Some people never learn. Like I said, trust your instincts. Those red flags, they're not decorations. Don't be an ATM. Thanks again for listening. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.